Imagine for a moment the sting of being dismissed, belittled, or mocked by someone you once honored. Think of the pain that settles deep within your heart when their words cut sharper than a sword, when their actions whisper, "You are unworthy." Disrespect has a way of reaching into the soul, unsettling our spirit, and tempting us to respond in anger or despair. And yet, it is in those moments of deep humiliation that a profound truth emerges. God sees it all. Every rolled eye, every sneer, every dismissive gesture. They do not vanish into the air. They rise before the throne of the Almighty, and He who is just does not turn His face away. Have you ever considered that silence in the face of disrespect is not weakness, but strength anchored in the divine? For when you walk away, you are not surrendering your dignity, you are entrusting it to God, the only one whose justice speaks louder than all the voices raised against you. The temptation, of course, is to respond, to fight back, to defend ourselves, to prove our worth in front of those who tear us down. But do you not see? To argue with disrespectful hearts is to throw pearls before swine. The value of your soul cannot be debated at the level of their blindness. When you walk away, you declare, "My worth does not rest in your opinion, it rests in the hands of God." And He, in His time, will let His justice speak so loudly that even those who disrespected you will be silenced. Consider this: the cross itself was the greatest act of disrespect this world has ever known. The Son of God was mocked, spat upon, stripped and crucified, and yet He did not respond in rage. He walked the path of silence, entrusting His cause to the Father. And what followed? The resurrection. The very stone meant to seal His defeat became the stage for eternal victory. If the Savior Himself allowed God's justice to speak louder than the mockery of men, can you not also trust that your vindication will come the same way? Think of the seed buried deep beneath the soil. To the passerby it looks forgotten, trampled, covered in darkness. But hidden beneath the dirt, life is stirring. Soon enough the seed rises, and all who once stepped over it must behold its beauty. So it is with you. Their disrespect may have buried you in shadows, but God is preparing a moment where His justice will raise you higher than their words could ever reach. Perhaps you wonder, but how long must I wait? How many times must I turn the other cheek? How often must I walk away in silence? Friend, waiting is not wasted. Every moment you refuse to retaliate, every step you take away from the fire of their scorn, you are gathering strength unseen. You are allowing God to write a story where your vindication will not be whispered, but declared for all to hear. His justice may move slowly in the eyes of men, but it always moves surely. Do not mistake God's patience for His absence. He delays not because He is blind, but because He is wise. He allows the disrespectful to dig their own pit, and when the time comes they will fall into it by their own hand. Your part is simple. Walk away, hold your peace, and trust the author of justice. And so, I ask you, is it worth lowering your soul to fight with those who have no reverence for it? Or is it wiser to step back, lift your eyes, and let God Himself declare who you are? For when He speaks, His voice drowns out every insult, every sneer, every attempt to dishonor you. Let their disrespect echo for a while. It will soon fade. But when God's justice thunders, the world cannot help but listen. God sees every act of disrespect and records it. There are times in life when the sting of disrespect cuts so deeply that you feel as though the heavens must be silent. You wonder, did anyone see? Did anyone hear? Did anyone notice the way I was humiliated, belittled, and mocked? Yet the truth is this: even when men pretend their cruelty is hidden, Even when they believe their words vanish into the air, there is one who watches closely. God's eyes are never shut, his ears are never deaf, and his memory is never erased. Every act of disrespect, every word spoken in contempt, every look given to diminish your worth, it is seen, it is heard, and it is recorded by the Almighty. This truth is both a comfort and a warning. For the comfort of the faithful is this: nothing is lost in the silence of God. Your pain has not been ignored. The tears you shed in secret have not been overlooked. The betrayal you endured quietly in your home, the insults whispered behind your back, the moments you were shamed in public, God has seen them all. He does not dismiss them as trivial, nor does he minimize the depth of your suffering. To him, your dignity is sacred, and every attempt to dishonor it is written in his book of remembrance. Imagine the courtroom of heaven, where every injustice is placed before the judge of all creation. Earthly courts may dismiss evidence, witnesses may lie, and judges may be swayed by power or wealth. But not so with God. His record is flawless, his account is complete, and his justice is perfect. The very people who disrespected you may laugh today, thinking they have escaped the consequences of their actions, yet in time they will discover that every insult was a seed planted, and God himself is the one who brings forth the harvest. Have you ever noticed how Scripture is filled with assurances that God remembers? He remembered Noah as the waters raged. He remembered Hannah in her sorrow. He remembered Israel in their oppression. To be remembered by God is to be vindicated. And so it is with you. The disrespect you endured has been remembered. He has not forgotten. It may not feel immediate. You may long for instant vindication, for a voice from heaven to silence the scornful in the moment. But God's justice is not rushed. It is precise. It arrives at the exact time when it will speak the loudest and have the greatest impact. In this you are invited to trust not only that He sees, but that His timing is perfect. Disrespect may wound you, but it will not define you. God's record of your life is not written by those who mock you, but by His eternal truth. And in His book you are honored, you are cherished, you are defended. One day, His justice will reveal what has been hidden, and those who disrespected you will stand in silence, unable to deny what God has declared about you. Walking away is not weakness, but a sign of strength, rooted in faith. We live in a world where walking away is often mistaken for surrender, for cowardice, for weakness. People say, if you do not fight back, they will think they have won. If you do not respond, they will think they are right. And so the temptation rises within us to lash out, to defend ourselves, to meet disrespect with equal force. But here lies the paradox of true strength. It does not need to announce itself. It does not need to stoop down to the level of mockers and scorners. True strength knows when to remain silent, when to withdraw, and when to leave the battle in the hands of God. Walking away is not weakness. It is the courage to trust that God's justice is greater than your anger. It is the wisdom to understand that dignity is not preserved by argument, but by restraint. When you walk away from disrespect, you are not lowering yourself. You are elevating yourself above the reach of those who wish to pull you down. You are declaring with your actions, my worth is not for you to measure, nor for you to diminish. My worth is sealed by the one who created me. Think of a lion. A lion does not need to roar at every barking dog. It does not need to defend its position as king of the jungle. Its silence, its composure, its calmness are themselves a display of unmatched strength. So too with you. When you walk away, you embody the spirit of a lion, unbothered by the noise, unshaken by the taunts, and confident in your God-given authority. Walking away also reveals something deeper. It reveals faith. For to remain silent when disrespected is to say, I believe God will speak for me. I believe His justice will be louder than my voice. I believe He will fight the battles I choose not to fight. That is not weakness, that is faith made visible. Faith is not only expressed in prayer and worship, it is expressed in the decisions we make in the heat of pain. And when you decide to walk away, you are offering God room to step in. It is pride that tells us we must always respond. It is ego that urges us to prove our value in the eyes of those who scorn us. But faith whispers, be still, walk away, watch what God will do. The very act of walking away becomes a declaration of trust, a testimony that you believe His justice is stronger than your defense. And here lies the beauty. Those who think you are weak for walking away will one day realize they were wrong. They will see that it was not weakness but wisdom. They will understand that you were never beneath them, but above them, too high to be dragged into their pit of disrespect. And in that moment your silence will speak louder than any words you could have uttered. Walking away does not mean you are defeated. It means you refuse to let disrespect become your master. It means you chose to place your dignity in the hands of God, the defender of the faithful. And when He speaks, His justice will make it clear, walking away was never weakness, it was the greatest strength of all. Fighting back only lowers your dignity. Silence honors God. There is a temptation within every human heart to rise up and meet insult with insult, disrespect with defiance, and humiliation with retaliation. It feels natural to demand recognition, to shout louder than the voices that mock you, and to prove your worth before those who diminish you. Yet the truth is this: when you fight back against the disrespectful, you lower yourself to their level. You allow their words to dictate your response, their behavior to shape your spirit, and their cruelty to define your worth. In that moment, you become chained to the very people you long to rise above. Dignity is not found in loud arguments or heated responses. Dignity is found in composure. It is found in the quiet confidence that does not need to be validated by others, for it is already rooted in God. When you respond with anger, you become what they expect you to be: defensive, fragile, desperate to be heard. But when you remain silent, when you refuse to engage, you show them that your strength does not depend on their approval. Silence, in this sense, is not emptiness. It is power. It is the refusal to let another person's immaturity dictate the atmosphere of your soul. It is the decision to let God's voice, not theirs, be the measure of your worth. Every time you hold your tongue, every time you choose restraint over retaliation, you are honoring God. For He calls His children not to repay evil with evil, but to overcome evil with good. And sometimes the greatest good you can offer is the refusal to participate in their game. Think of Christ before His accusers. They hurled insults, they demanded answers, they spat upon Him. Yet He remained silent, not because He was weak, not because He had nothing to say, but because His dignity was far too great to be dragged into the filth of their mockery. His silence was His strength, and His restraint was His glory. He entrusted His vindication to the Father, and that trust was not disappointed. This is the model for you as well. When you remain silent in the face of disrespect, you are not losing the battle. You are elevating the fight to a higher court. You are moving the case from human opinion to divine judgment. You are saying, I refuse to fight this with my own hands. I will let God speak for me. And when He does, His voice will thunder in ways yours never could. Your dignity is precious. Do not spend it cheaply on arguments that cannot change hearts. Do not waste it on people who will twist your words and use them against you. Instead, guard it fiercely by holding your peace. Let your silence become a sanctuary where God Himself takes up your cause. In the end, those who mocked you will realize that it was not your silence that made you weak, but their disrespect that exposed their weakness. And when God lifts you up, it will be clear to all that your dignity was never lost. It was preserved by His hand. The example of the cross shows God's justice always speaks louder. If ever there was a moment in history when disrespect reached its climax, it was at the cross. The Son of God, pure and holy, was treated as though He were a criminal. They mocked Him with a crown of thorns. They clothed Him in a robe of mockery, and they wrote above His head the words meant to ridicule, King of the Jews. The crowd jeered, the soldiers spat, the leaders scoffed. Every action, every word dripped with contempt. By human eyes, it was the ultimate picture of defeat and humiliation. And yet, the cross stands today not as a monument of shame, but as the greatest symbol of victory. Why? Because God's justice spoke louder. The disrespect of men was temporary, but the resurrection was eternal. Their insults faded into silence, but His triumph resounds across generations. The cross teaches us a profound truth. What the world uses to disrespect and destroy you, God uses to display His power and glory. In your life, the disrespect you endure may feel like a cross of its own. You may feel nailed down by words that wound, surrounded by voices that mock, and trapped in situations that make you feel powerless. But remember, the story did not end at Calvary. The silence of Saturday gave way to the glory of Sunday. And in the same way, your silence in the face of disrespect is not the end of your story. God is writing a resurrection moment for you, a moment when His justice will overturn every insult and declare your worth in ways no human voice can deny. The cross also shows us the futility of human mockery. Those who laughed at Christ believed they had the final word, but their laughter died in their throats when the tomb was found empty. Their power dissolved when He appeared alive. Their insults became irrelevant when He ascended in glory. And so it will be with those who disrespect you. Their voices may be loud today, but they will not last. God's justice, like the resurrection, will silence them completely. There is also this to consider. If the Son of God Himself did not escape disrespect, why should you expect to? But take heart, just as He was raised above it, so will you. The cross is not only His story, it is the pattern of every believer's life. Disrespect may wound you, mockery may press against you, but these are only preludes to a greater vindication. Think of it. The very cross meant to destroy Him became the stage of eternal salvation. The very stone meant to trap Him became the evidence of His victory. So it will be with you. The very moments meant to humiliate you will become the testimony of God's faithfulness. The very insults meant to diminish you will become the backdrop against which His justice shines. The cross teaches us that God's justice always speaks louder. Always. It may not come in the timing you desire. It may not look like the vindication you imagined, but it will come. And when it does, every voice that mocked you will be drowned in the chorus of His triumph. Like a seed buried in darkness, your moment of vindication is coming. When you are disrespected, it can feel as if you've been cast into the shadows, forgotten and discarded like something of little value. Their words and actions bury you under the weight of shame and silence, and the world passes by as if your pain is invisible. Yet what seems like burial in the eyes of men is, in the eyes of God, planting. And what is planted is destined to rise. Think of the seed in the soil. To the unknowing eye it appears lifeless, covered in dirt, hidden from the sun, unseen by all. It looks as though nothing is happening, yet deep within, life stirs. The shell begins to crack, roots begin to reach down, and a hidden transformation takes place in the darkness. The seed does not remain buried. In time, it rises, breaking through the soil, reaching for the light, and becoming something far greater than it was before. So it is with you. The disrespect you endured has pushed you into a kind of burial. Their words covered you in dirt. Their actions tried to suffocate your dignity, and their scorn attempted to press you into silence. But beneath that soil, something powerful is happening. God is working in the unseen, preparing you for a moment when you will rise in ways that will astonish those who thought you were finished. Vindication does not come when you fight back. It comes when God lifts you up. And when He does, it is undeniable. No one questions a tree standing tall in the sunlight. No one doubts the flower blooming in the field. Its beauty speaks for itself. And when God raises you above the soil of disrespect, your life will speak more loudly than any defense you could have given. Consider also that the seed does not rush its process. It remains buried until the time is right. If it were dug up too soon, its potential would never be realized. Likewise, your vindication will not be rushed. God allows you to remain in the soil for a season, not because He has abandoned you, but because He is cultivating strength and depth within you. He is rooting you in His presence, preparing you to stand firm when your season of rising comes. And here is the profound mystery. The very ones who disrespected you will witness your rising. Just as those who mocked Christ at the cross had no choice but to hear of His resurrection, so too will those who tried to bury you see the evidence of God's justice. They will be forced to admit that what they thought was your end was only your beginning. The soil of disrespect is temporary. The growth it produces is eternal. Do not despise the darkness you are in now. It is the womb of your destiny, the hidden place where God is shaping you. Soon, the dirt will no longer cover you. It will nourish you. The very attempt to bury you will become the reason you bloom. And when that moment comes, your vindication will not be quiet. It will be undeniable, for God Himself will make sure that those who once disrespected you will see what He has done. God's justice may feel delayed, but it is certain and perfect in timing. One of the hardest truths to accept is that God does not operate on our timeline. We want immediate justice, instant vindication, and swift answers. We cry out, "Lord, why do you allow them to mock me? Why do you let them speak against me without rebuke? Why is their disrespect met with silence from heaven?" In those moments, it is easy to believe that God has overlooked your pain or forgotten your suffering. But this is not so. His silence is not abandonment, it is timing. God's justice is never late, though it may feel delayed. He sees what was done, He records what was spoken, and He measures out justice not in haste but in perfection. If He were to respond immediately, it might satisfy your desire for revenge, but it would not accomplish His greater purpose. His justice is not about proving a point. It is about writing a story where His glory is revealed and your faith is strengthened. Think of the story of Joseph, betrayed by his brothers, sold into slavery, falsely accused and cast into prison. How many nights must he have cried out, "Lord, where is your justice? Why do you allow this disrespect to continue?" Yet what appeared to be delay was divine orchestration. At the appointed time, God raised Joseph from the prison to the palace, and when He did, His justice was undeniable. Those who disrespected Joseph were forced to stand before him, not as his equals, but as those in need of His mercy. The delay was not denial, it was preparation. So it is with you. God allows time to pass not because he is indifferent, but because he is preparing the perfect moment for his justice to be revealed. When it comes, it will be so precise, so undeniable, that even those who doubted you will recognize it was his hand. His justice may seem slow, but it is never wrong. It comes at the exact moment when it will speak the loudest. Consider the farmer who waits for the harvest. He does not dig up the soil impatiently, demanding growth before its time. He knows that the rain must fall, the sun must shine, and the season must shift. Only then does the crop appear. Likewise, your season of vindication will come when all things are aligned according to God's wisdom. To rush it would diminish its impact. To wait is to trust his perfection. To wait is to trust his perfection. This is why Scripture calls us to patience. It is not a passive waiting, it is an active trust. Every day you choose not to retaliate, every moment you decide to walk in silence, you are sowing seeds of faith into the ground of God's justice. And when the harvest comes, it will be more than you imagine. Yes, it feels delayed. Yes, the silence hurts. Yes, you long for God to speak now. But when he speaks, his justice will thunder, and the very ones who disrespected you will see it clearly. Trust his timing. It is never too early, and it is never too late. It is always perfect. Walking away gives space for God to prove your worth beyond human opinion. Heathcliff, there is a profound truth hidden in the act of walking away. It creates room for God to step in. When you fight back, when you argue, when you attempt to prove your worth to those who refuse to see it, you crowd out the stage where God desires to work. But when you walk away, when you release the need to defend yourself, you make space for him to reveal who you are in a way no human opinion can deny. Your worth was never meant to be measured by the eyes of men. Human approval is fickle, fleeting, and shallow. One day they cheer you, the next day they curse you. Today they respect you, tomorrow they despise you. If you build your identity on their opinions, you will forever be a prisoner to their changing hearts. But when you walk away from their disrespect, you are declaring, "My worth is not up for debate. My value is fixed in the eternal judgment of God." And here is the mystery. When you step aside, God steps forward. He has a way of arranging circumstances that silence your critics without you ever lifting a finger. He has a way of exalting you before the very people who tried to diminish you. Think of David, overlooked by his family, disrespected by his brothers, underestimated by Saul. Yet when the giant fell, no one could deny that God's hand was upon him. David did not need to argue for his worth. He needed only to be faithful and let God speak through his power. When you walk away from disrespect, you echo that same faith. You are saying, "Lord, I trust you to speak for me." And in his time, he does. He may open doors that no man can shut. He may place you in positions your critics thought you could never reach. He may pour out blessings so evident that even those who disrespected you must acknowledge his hand. That is the beauty of divine vindication. It does not rely on human applause. It flows from God's justice. Walking away also protects your spirit. Disrespect has a way of poisoning the soul when you dwell on it. It stirs anger, bitterness, and resentment. But when you choose not to engage, when you step back and give it to God, you free yourself from that poison. You refuse to let their words live rent-free in your heart. You choose peace over conflict, dignity over drama, faith over frustration. And in that space of silence, God works, not only around you, but within you. And when he works, he does it thoroughly. He doesn't just silence the disrespect, he transforms it into a testimony. The very words meant to hurt you become evidence of how far He has brought you. The very people who mocked you become witnesses to your rising. Your life itself becomes the loudest sermon, one that requires no defense, no argument, no retaliation. Walking away is not the end. It is the beginning of God's response. And His response always proves your worth beyond what any human opinion could measure. So hear this, dear friend. When you are disrespected, do not despair. Do not lower yourself into the mud of arguments. Do not waste your spirit trying to convince those who cannot see, and do not believe for a moment that God has overlooked you. He has seen every word, every gesture, every attempt to diminish you. He has recorded it, and His justice is certain. When you walk away, you are not weak, you are wise. You are not defeated, you are dignified. You are not silenced, you are allowing God to speak on your behalf, and His voice thunders louder than any insult. Remember the seed that rises from the soil, the cross that became the stage of victory, the silence that honored God more than words ever could. Your moment is coming. The season of disrespect will pass, but God's justice will remain. So walk away not in fear but in faith. Walk away not in defeat but in dignity. Walk away and give space for God to step in. For when He moves, His justice will silence every mocking voice. His favor will prove your worth, and His hand will lift you higher than human opinion could ever reach. Let them speak for now. Their voices are temporary, but when God speaks, His justice will echo through eternity.